the Ghana Association of Persons with Albinism have lashed out at the government and its inability to address stigmatization of persons with albinism. The association considers government's failure to tackle the menace as unfair and an injustice and also a discrimination.
With albinism face multiple forms of discrimination worldwide. The physical appearance of persons with albinism is often the subject of erroneous beliefs and myths. This leads to various forms of stigma and discrimination. People believe that body parts of persons with albinism have magical powers and if used in concoctions can make one rich. There have been several reported cases where persons with albinism had been abducted and murdered for rituals and are denied full access to society in some parts of the country. These practices infringe the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, which states in Article 17(2) that a person shall not be discriminated against on grounds of gender, race, color, ethnic origin, religion, creed, or social or economic status. According to Ghana Association of Persons with Albinism, government has failed woefully to address stigmatization towards persons with albinism.
Article 26, Clause 2, that nobody's life should be taken intentionally. And people take other people's life intentionally, claiming that even that custom cannot be stopped because it's an old thing. But the government of Ghana has actually not done anything to address this issue.
The association considered government failure to tackle the menace as an injustice.
In 2009, it was reported by one Malam or Imam Salawati that persons with albinism were used for sacrifice before the 2008 election. We thought anybody could have come out to challenge it, claiming that it is not true, but there have been silence over it up to now, indicating that what he said is true. If so, election is coming, what happens? Is it going to repeat or is it going to end?
The United Nations, in effort at stopping stigmatization, has a resolution on November 8, 2014 for the observation of International Albinism Awareness Day. This is to increase international attention on the right of persons with albinism.
And we have in studio the spokesperson for the Society of Persons with Albinism, Adam Abdul Wahab, to really ask him a few questions regarding that story which broke that there is a possibility that some of them could or have in the past been used for rituals, especially during electioneering periods. And then also, apart from that, how has stigma affected their lives? Good afternoon, Abdul, and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, to start with, your concluding statement about the fact that in 2008, 2012, thereabout, a Malam came out to say that persons with albinism were used for rituals because they believe that when they do that, they will win the election. Was there any confirmation to that story?
Actually, we tried to follow up the story, but we were not actually given any critical evidence indicating that something like that really happened. But our belief is that the man himself is a Malam who deals in these spiritual things. So if he comes out to say it, I may not say that he has used something like that, but for him coming out to say something of that source, I think we cannot challenge it so much.
How difficult has it been for you as an individual and then as an association with the fact that you are albinos living in this part of the world?
Life for persons with albinism, especially in Africa or in Ghana, has been very difficult. The question was directed to me as how difficult was it? See, I was the first person to be born with albinism in my community.
Okay.
And according to my mother, the first day I was born, our family house was turned to something like tourist center. So people ran to our house to just see what kind of person was born. And since then, they started avoiding the house especially my mother. Sometimes people don't even greet her because they think that when they greet her, they might also give birth to children with albinism. And when I was sent to school, I was actually very good, but there was this saying that because I was living with albinism, I was a god and spirit. That was why I was exceptionally good. Some people tried to run away from me, others also were getting closer to me. But the most difficult part is person with albinism cannot see far. So you have to get closer to the board before you'll be able to copy what is being written there. So moving forward to adjust yourself to be able to cope with the situation, you attract a lot of insults from colleagues. Some teachers will even just come out and try to punish you because you are forcing to write something and you tend out to block somebody's view.
I mean, from what you're saying, it means it cuts across not only in politics, but in education, even in religion and all of that. People with albinism are sort of discriminated against. And this is not the first time we are having such an interview. Over the years, almost every year, the media carries a story or two about people with albinism. Has government given any response or shown any good faith with helping fight against stigma?
As it is now, we have not had any information indicating government commitment or government readiness to support fight this discrimination or stigma against persons with albinism.
But have you officially petitioned or written to any authority, maybe the Ministry of Gender, maybe?
The difficulties we face is that anytime we have a series of letters written down, but anytime we make an attempt to meet some of these people to discuss issues with them, they often say we don't have time, and it has become very difficult for us to meet them. But I think this time, after this press conference, we have tried to see whether the situation can change.
Okay.
Because this time I think that a few of them, when we call, they do respond. You know, the press conference saw the deputy chief of staff, who also came to address the press.
Okay.
And he more or less gave us a solidarity message. And we believe that will pave way for us to approach the government to see how government can assist the situation.
Do you have a rough idea of how many people are living with albinos?
In Ghana?
In Ghana, yes.
Yes, we have about 2,117 persons with albinism. That is what we have in our records. But we have Northern region, Brunahafo region and Volta region coming up with the highest number of persons with albinism.
Northern, Brunahafo
and Volta region.
They have the highest numbers per your record.
Yes.
Okay, so there is a possibility you may not even have captured some people who may also be living with albinism.
Yes, and Ghana, Eastern region, for example, we have not been able to get representatives there. And as it stands now, we are not so sure of the number of persons with albinism in that particular region. So the records we have is only covering the 9 regions, excluding Eastern region.
Okay. And in wrapping up this conversation, do you intend taking it further, probably even petitioning the president?
Yes, but we will first have to make an appeal to the government, maybe using the media. It will be something like appealing through the public. We will make the appeal, the public will hear our appeal. And if government fail to then do anything, or if our demands are not met, then that is where we can think of petitioning the government or the necessary agencies to address the challenge.
Okay. All right, so we've been speaking with Adam Abdul Wahab. He's a spokesperson for the persons with albinism, and they have raised concerns about discrimination and would also want government, civil society organizations to at least give them some attention and help them fight against the discrimination, which seemed to be a major cause of problem for them. And it even goes beyond just the fact that in an electioneering year, some of them say they are living in fear because there are snippets of reports that some of them could be used for, or have in the past been used for, ritual purposes by politicians. That is a story we cannot independently confirm, but it is already making rounds, and it means that we need external intervention from government, the civil society, maybe the presidency itself, to give them some protection or some attention, especially to fight discrimination. Even in education, some of them have had concerns. We would want to also speak to some legal brains on this, but well, when we do get him on the line, we would move on to that other story. But a big thank you to you, Adam Abdul Wahab, and we hope that at least some attention is given to your plight.
I believe so.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.